This old limey bastard is even older. Welcome back to the Gribley's Folly Sunday Antisocial Hour, that time every week in which I complain about humanity while answering its questions. And this week is a very special week because I will be smoking a pipe this week. I'm so excited. I smoked one yesterday just to kind of get over the threshold. But it was McClelland's Toasted Cavendish, and I'm not that pleased with that blend. So I'm going to be lighting up in my Stanwell Second here, which really needs a shine on the stem. I'm going to be lighting up a bowl of Old Limey Bastard to share with you. I'll be right back. Or actually, it's almost Halloween, so I'll be right back. You know, if I were stuck on a desert island and I had a choice of a crate of Pop-Tarts to wash on shore or a crate of Old Limey Bastard, that would be a tough choice. Good morning. How are you? It's been a rough week for everyone, I think. Bombs, shootings, all kinds of crazy shit has happened this week. It's been pretty crazy here. I'm working on a craft project for Halloween. And Halloween, as you may or may not know, Halloween is my favorite day of the entire year. And I'm working on a craft project for it, but it has gone wrong. I just came down here this morning and found out that the craft project has had a little bit of a mishap. So I will bring you up to speed on that in a future video. Let me pull up your questions here. I forgot. Of course, I am using the Northern Bohemian commemorative microphone here, Norbo specifically. Asked me. He said he liked the mic, so I think it might be appearing in the videos, even though I'm actually using it entirely incorrectly, and it's not plugged into anything, but, secret tunnel. So I wouldn't say that my tooth hole is all healed up, but it's been a month. It's been a month. I've decided I can live with that amount of risk in my life. So I am going to resume my fiendish pipe smoking habits. I made a video that will be coming out this week on what I have learned from not smoking a pipe. Man, this makes me feel so much more official. I feel like I'm on the air. I guess I am, but that's something. I've been on radio programs a few times, and it's really like the difference between just sitting back in your chair and talking to someone and like speaking into a microphone, it's a big deal. What was I saying? Something about, it doesn't matter. I didn't smoke a pipe for a month. I'm back. I'm very glad to be back. I've got that video coming out. I've got the video on the craft project coming out. I've got a fishing video coming out. All of this stuff is in the hopper. And let me just belabor this point a little bit. I do have a Minecraft channel. If anyone out there, if anyone within the sound of my voice is interested in Minecraft, go over to my Minecraft channel. We have 19 subscribers. Could I at least get 20 subscribers, please? I posted it on Reddit, and I got 2 subscribers. And I understand that Minecraft Let's Plays are like, that's like, going to Hollywood and being like, you want to read my script, But it's a fun series. So if you like Minecraft, if you don't like Minecraft, don't go over there because it's just Minecraft. But go over there, check it out. Gribs Grinds is the Minecraft channel. Gribs Grinds, and it's heating up. It's heating up. We're almost to 20 subscribers, and things are happening. Strongholds have been located. Anyway, we'll move on. Let's answer a question, shall we? And this question shall be from my good friend Timber Drifter. Hashtag Ask Gribs. By the way, if you ever want to know anything, you can just put it in the comments of one of my videos with the hashtag Ask Gribs in front of it, and I will answer any question. So, hashtag Ask Gribs, do you know what a bar oil jug is? And this was a question last week, and I gave a funny answer to it. I actually gave a real answer to it, but I edited it out because it was just too long. So now I'm going to tell you my bar oil story. In my real estate market, in the mountains, right? The only way you get to buy a house, if you're someone like me, is if someone else dies and just needs to get rid of their house. That's exactly what happened here. The old folks that lived in our house got old and they went to assisted living and died. And so the house was being sold by their relatives. They just wanted to close out the estate. Like, let's get it out of here. So we got the house at a really good deal, which was the only way we could get it. That means there was a wheelchair ramp built to ADA specs attached to the house. Which is fine. It's cool. No problem. When we looked at it, we were like, oh, that's ugly, but we'll just tear it down. No big deal. So I think like within the first 2 weeks that we lived here, I went out there with an axe, tore it down. No problem. Except then I had a bunch of really, really solid lumber with like giant bolts. Whoa, look how much it shakes the camera when I tamp my pipe. With giant bolts in it sitting in the backyard. And this went on, this was a thing. This went on for a while. And eventually, like grass started growing up between the boards, this big pile of lumber. So at the time, I worked in a music store, which you guys have heard me talk about, right? So I had connections because I worked in a music store with the seedy underbelly of my town. And I knew a guy, we'll call him Mark. I knew a guy, and Mark is the best bass player I've ever known in my life. Just an incredible musician. And he was a teacher at the music store. He's kind of a squirrely dude, He's a genuine character, and no, not bound by any rules of proprietary or protocol, proprietary social, rules. Not bound by that stuff. Propriety is what I'm trying to say. And Mark, in addition to being a bass player, I think was a cocaine addict and needed money all the time. And so he was also a handyman, and he had a truck. And I said, hey, Mark, you want to make a little bit of money? I need somebody, put these, giant beams with bolts in them, put these in your truck and drive them to the dump for me. Would you do that? I'll give you some coke money. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. So, one day Mark came over and he looked at he had a Toyota Tacoma, and he looked at the beams and he looked at his truck and he looked at the beams and he says, this isn't going to go to work. These beams are too long. And they were really long. And and so he was like, no problem. And he pulled out like this giant 36-inch Husky chainsaw from his truck. Now, in one of my videos coming up, I'll explain that I have a little bit of a tenuous relationship with chainsaws. Chainsaws freak me out. But that's fine. You're here, you're helping me out. You use your chainsaw, buddy. So he cranks up his chainsaw, and I'm like, I'm going to go, upstairs and play some Minecraft or something while you're doing this. And so I leave him alone, and I go down to like bring him a bottle of water or something like that. And he's like looking around on the ground, and I'm like, what's wrong, Mark? And he said, I've lost my oil cap for my bar oil. And I'm like, oh, is that bad? And that was how I learned what bar oil is. He explained what it was. And he said, well, I've got another jug, but if I can't find the cap, it's just going to spill out. And so we started like looking all around, trying to find like a lost contact on the ground. Like looking around, pawing through the leaves, and I go around the side of the community garden and massage parlor because we had walked back and forth up there and looking around for this oil cap. And then I hear the chainsaw crank up. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So he got it, right? And so I go back, and Mark has a beam in the back of his truck, and he's just like sawing on this beam, right? And what he's done is that the gas cap and the oil cap were the same cap. And he had more gas than he had oil. So he took the gas cap off and put it on the oil reservoir and was sawing away on this beam. Meanwhile, gasoline is spilling all over him and all down the side of his truck. And he's hitting these bolts in the beam, and there's just sparks going everywhere. And I'm like, Mark, what are you doing? And he's like, oh man, that's cool. It's just totally fine. I got the oil reservoir all plugged up with the gas cap. I mean, newer models, they make it so you can't do that because it's a safety issue, but I'm just fucking doing it, man. And I'm like, Bart, stop. He's like, no, I got it. I'm like, I'm paying you. You have to stop when I tell you to stop. He's like, oh, it's going to be fine. I'm like, Mark, my homeowner's insurance does not cover a Human Torch waving a chainsaw in my yard. Stop what you're doing. I can't remember how the story ended up. I think we ended up like stuffing it with a rag or something like that. But it was one of those moments where you see something happen and you feel like you're just like, you're in slow motion trying to stop this horrible, horrible accident. Well, while I was paused, my phone rang and it was my mother calling to tell me that my uncle has had a heart attack. He seems to be he's still in ICU, so I guess he's not stable, but they put in a stent. Seems to be okay. So it's been, man, it's been a fine year for me, but for that side of my family, it's been a hugely terrible year. And, I wish that this hadn't happened. I mean, obviously I wish this hadn't happened, but, folks that just get hit real hard in a short amount of time. And, I know a lot of those folks lately. So yeah, let's, hope that situation turns out okay. Back to your questions. Robert Dixon asked Gribbs. Okay, here we go. Yeah, here we go. Is it at all possible that the Democrats or their ilk, I like that, their ilk, are behind the strategic bomb deliveries that handily got intercepted? Yes, that is totally possible. However, this comment predates the arrest of the suspect, whose name I can't pronounce and thus won't try. I actually learned that the suspect was in my town for a while. In 2017, his Trump van was photographed while he was delivering pizzas. I guess it's still possible that his motives. Well, number one, it's totally possible. Trust no one, right? I don't trust that this guy is really the guy. I don't trust the thing even happened to begin with. Whatever. There are all these levels of things we can't know. But if the story we're getting is true, it sounds a little less likely that this guy was a Democratic operative. And a little more likely that he was just insane. I mean, I read a story about him this morning when I first woke up. Because that's the way I roll. I try to find the most horrible thing to read about when I first wake up, and then the rest of the day is great. I read a story about him this morning, and the dude was crazy. Like, he drove a van, and in the back of the van, there were, like, decapitated dolls. It's crazy. That's crazy. He also worked as a pizza delivery guy for I don't know what company it was for, but his manager was a lesbian, and the guy ranted about homosexuality and told the manager that she was going to burn in hell along with President Obama and Hillary Clinton. That just doesn't seem like a good job security strategy, And the reason we know about the dolls in the back of his van is that at one point, the manager, who didn't fire him when he was like, you're going to hell, the manager accepted a ride from him in his van. What? So you're like a lesbian, like pizza delivery manager, and your crazy, crazy guy, like, that drives the Trump van is like, do you need a ride? And you're like, oh yeah, I really do need a ride. What? Who are these people? Listen, Gribbs rules of life. If someone with a van ever offers you a ride, you say no, right? You say no. Not all van drivers are serial killers, but all serial killers drive vans. Either vans or like a rendering truck. Never accept a ride in a rendering truck either. To the spirit of the question, do I think that Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi were sitting around making bombs late at night? No, I don't think so. Do I think that some crazy Antifa, offshoot, splinter cell, whatever, crazy person would sit up late making bombs and mailing them to people to make it look like some crazy conservative was, yeah, I think that's definitely within the realm of possibility. I don't necessarily think that's what happened in this case. And I don't know that, sorry, my hat is acting funny. I don't know that this will affect the midterms at all. If, you know, it was certainly, if this guy was a Trump supporter, genuinely, it was certainly a bad time to do what he did. But then we just saw a guy shoot up a freaking synagogue, and his social media postings are like, screw your optics, I'm going in. Again, anyone grounded in a sense of reality, okay, obviously if you shoot up a synagogue, you're not grounded in a sense of reality. But let's assume for the moment that you could have a burning desire to go shoot up a synagogue, right? And also be somewhat rational. You would not do it right before the midterm elections, which are very charged with minority, like, issues, you know? You know what I'm saying? Like, so that speaks to me, like, as much as I dislike our current president, I think that it's a little bit of a reach to say that these people were just totally normal people who were then inspired toward violence by our president. I think that these people would have been inspired toward violence, like, no matter what. Which is not to say that Trump's rhetoric is good or helps or is in any way positive. And it's also fair to note that the MAGA bomber, the van driving guy, said that he didn't have a family until Trump was his father. That does mitigate my most recent point a little bit. Advocat asked Gribbs, if you spent the night in a proper Scottish bothy, how would you pass the time? Probably reading my copy of Scotland: A History by Magnus Magnusson. That's definitely what I would do. I've read like a third of the way through it, but I just can't. As much as I'm interested in it, it's okay. Anyway, Typing Piper says on my Raiders of the Lost Bothy video, and here I thought this was a pipe parody. Hold your horses, it's coming. I got a good idea. Robert Dixon, is walking the streets with a joint frowned upon in your town? Here, since legalization, you can't smell cigarettes anymore, just pot. It's certainly not uncommon, but I would say that the authorities would have frowned upon it. There are certainly plenty of arrests for simple possession in my town. If you go out on the night of a street festival, and basically in the summertime you can't throw a dart at a calendar without hitting the night of a street festival, there's definitely an odor of marijuana in the air quite frequently. But I think that there's sort of an understanding, you know, a detente between the pot smokers and the people who bust pot smokers. Sorry, I'm trying to speed this up because my battery's running down. So I forgot to charge my phone last night. So it's not uncommon, but I think that if you were just to light up a cigarette, you would get busted. Like or light up a joint, you would get busted. It's not like cigarettes. Maybe it will be soon. Leprous Hand asked Gribbs, what is the most embarrassing or rudest thing someone did at a wedding you shot? This is a touchy question for me right now. So at a recent wedding, there was a storm. Can I tell this story? There was a hurricane at a recent wedding. I shot a wedding during the hurricane. And the groom, I guess, had a little too much to drink. And he made a speech talking about everyone that they were so glad everyone that was there had made it in spite of the storm. And then he overreached just a little bit. And he said, a lot of people use the storm as an excuse not to come. And then he just plowed on. He just went on. And I'm just like, dude, you just insulted like so many people that everyone here knows. Like that. It was mortifying. I was just like, I was like frozen in embarrassment for this guy, but he didn't know. He was drunk. He didn't give a shit. It was rough. Old Greg asked Gribbs, is that part of a crib hanging in the smoky? Yes. Yes, it is. What's your point? And finally, Beer Beard, who's having a bit of an identity crisis over on his channel. You should go check it out. Beer Beard asks Gribbs, Ivanka aside, do you find yourself attracted to any other famous women that you actually don't like as people? My confession, I had the hots for Sarah Palin during the 2008 campaign. Well, you were not alone in that. I think Sarah Palin was an attractive lady. She was, I wouldn't say met, but I was in the room with Sarah. I shook her hand. I was in the room with Sarah Palin. And in life, she was not quite as attractive as you might have thought that she was on the TV. And I can say that about her because she's a conservative. So nobody's going to be like, oh, you should never say that about a woman. But she's a conservative, so it's okay, right? No, I mean, I think she was a very attractive lady. Now the craziness overwhelms me. I don't know what happened, but I liked her a lot more in 2008 than I do now. I will admit to being a fan in 2008, and that is a regret. But I'll be honest about it. So I mean, I didn't have like a Palin T-shirt or anything, but I thought she was a fun character. Okay, so other women that I find attractive that I don't like as people. You want to hear a real confession? I think Miley Cyrus is hot in the Wrecking Ball video. I hate that. I don't like admitting that, but I mean, obviously she is, because that's why they made the whole video, is so she could be naked on a wrecking ball. Like that. I mean, if she wasn't naked on a wrecking ball, would we remember that song right now? Of course not. Let's see, who else? Taylor Swift comes to mind. I don't necessarily dislike her, but I'm a fan of her music. But lately I have come, with my growing cynicism about everything, I have come to disbelieve her stance on many things, and the Kanye stuff. I think I don't know. I might have been wrong. She might not be the innocent party and all that. Not that Kanye is an innocent party. I would never say that. I think one of the Kardashian sisters is pretty attractive. But I don't know which one it is. It's not. Who's the main one? The Kim Kardashian? So it's one of the others. How many others are there? I don't know. I don't know anything about these people because I can't stand them. But one of them, if I were just to see, the one that was in the Pepsi commercial, right? And I didn't know who she was. And I saw that Pepsi commercial everybody was talking about, and I was like, wow, she's really pretty. Last but not least, let me think about this just a second. This is a tough one because I don't know that many like famous women that have been outed as like really terrible people. That's more of a man thing, I think. But I mean, Gwyneth Paltrow comes to mind, although I really don't think she's that pretty. I guess I hate this seems like low-hanging fruit, but I guess Megyn Kelly. I was very impressed with Megyn Kelly for a while, and then like Sarah Palin, the thrill is gone. I don't. She's off the rails. Obviously, she just canceled her show. So, yeah, that's a tough question. I'll have to think about this. I will ask y'all this question: what women out there? It's the inverse of the same question. What women out there would be really attractive, except you just can't stand them? Like I think Courtney Love. Like Courtney Love, back in the 90s Courtney Love was really hot, right? But she was such an obvious, like, okay, I didn't like her personality. That's it. That's it. Answer that question in the comments below. I love to see your answers, and that might jog my memory. We'll talk about more of the same next week. And thank you for watching. Keep the ends out for the ties that bind.